Bobby, can you hear me back there? Good. It's good to see current faculty and staff, but even better to see faculty and staff who have retired from MUS who've come back to help us, along with members of the West Tennessee Historical Society, help us celebrate, dedicate the archives room here in Hyde Library to John Harkins. That dedication was made possible by a very, very generous gift by alumnus David Sachs, class of 1990, as a way to show his admiration and respect for the work that Dr. Harkins did here at MUS for 26 years, especially his relationship with John during his senior year. Though Dr. Harkins has officially retired from the classroom and from his duties as chairman of the history department here, he remains a valuable asset in his role as our school archivist and historian. And the very same characteristics that made John an excellent teacher and faculty member, his intellectual honesty, his insatiable desire to learn, his willingness to put the school above his own personal interest, his great knowledge of history, and his collegiality, all of those characteristics that made him an excellent teacher and faculty member carry over to his role and make him an excellent archivist as well. Just to rehearse a little bit of what Dr. Harkins did over here at MUS for 26 years in the classroom, and those 26 years came in 3 different stints. The first stint from 1968 to 70, and then another 1-year stint in 1974 and 75. And then he came back in 1986 and stayed for another 23 years until his retirement in 2009. In 1992, he was named chairman of the history department and the holder of the Ross M. Lynn Chair of History. He was the award winner of the Distinguished Teaching Award in 1996, and the DAR named him the Outstanding American History Teacher in the entire state of Tennessee in 1997. Of course, he's an author. He's written a definitive history of Memphis, Metropolis on the American Nile, recently a history of Shelby County called Historic Shelby County. He's the author of the MUS Century book, and since 2004 has written a regular column, actually it's an essay more than just a short column, in the Best Times called The Best of Memphis History. I'm a little too young to be reading the Best Times, but I always catch his articles because they are interesting and very, very well written. He has won a number of honors over the years and has been active in historical organizations for many, many years. President of the West Tennessee Historical Society for too many years, just off and on and off and on, and every now and then they say, John, will you come back and be president again? He has served as a member of the Shelby County Historical Commission, the Tennessee Historical Commission, was vice chairman of the, and served as a West Tennessee representative with the Tennessee Historical Commission. One dubious honor, he was named to the Christian Brothers High School Hall of Fame. We tried to correct that, or at least make amends, help him rectify that honor by naming him an honorary alumnus of MUS after his 25th year here at MUS. Archives. We've had an archives room most of the years up in the northwest corner on the mezzanine floor of the Hyde Library. recently moved down here where the old Davis television studio used to be, larger space, and we don't have to go up and down stairs. There's no elevator here in the Hyde Library, but John has remained a very significant person in the history of MUS and continues to do a great job as our school archivist. Our first archivist really was a student, Donald Brady. Donald was in college at Vanderbilt and worked here in the summers back in the early 80s, mid-80s. He'd come back and work under the direction of Pally Hamilton. Of course, Lee McQueen served as the first official school archivist who actually earned a salary as archivist, or a stipend, I should say. And now, of course, John Harkins. John and David Sachs began to form a relationship early on here at MUS in the classroom. John taught just about every kind of history class we've ever offered here at MUS. European history, American history, the AP versions of both of those. I remember an elective he taught in Russian history, another elective in Mexican history. That goes way back. And anyway, David had great admiration and respect for John as a classroom instructor, but that relationship really became tight and strong during David's senior year, 89-90, when David was the editor of the school yearbook and John was the faculty advisor to the school yearbook. Then David went on after MUS to have an undergraduate degree at Stanford University, a law degree from University of Chicago, and then CFO of a little company called PayPal, which was bought out by eBay. Then David did some Hollywood producing down in Los Angeles. Probably the best known film that came from his production was Thank You for Smoking. Then he decided to begin a couple of .com companies, Genie.com and Yammer.com. Yammer was recently sold to Microsoft for a few dollars. And David has never forgotten Memphis University School. He's been very generous to us over the years, and he wanted to do something to honor a person he thought was very influential in his life, John Harkins. And so we suggested that he name the archives room for Dr. John Harkins. David could not be with us today, but he sent this statement, which I'd like to read. David says, "I regret that I'll not be able to attend today's tribute to Dr. Harkins, but it gives me great pleasure that this event is taking place. It could not be more fitting for his name to be permanently attached to the school, where he has contributed so much, at the specific location which represents his love for history. Dr. Harkins once told me that MUS history and his devoted wife, Georgia, are the three great passions of his life. And so the Harkins Archives represents two of those. And I expect Georgia is present today to make it a hat trick. And of course she is here on the front row with John, as she is always. I was very fortunate during my time at MUS to have Dr. Harkins as a teacher and advisor. We got to know each other well during my senior year when I was editor of the yearbook and he was the faculty advisor. Of course, selecting me for the job in the first place was a shrewd decision on his part. But his unwavering support, encouragement, and guidance helped give me the confidence to lead not just that endeavor, but large creative enterprises in the future. Looking back, these experiences were remarkably similar. I guess there's a reason they call it a preparatory school. It actually prepares you for life, often in ways that are not apparent at the time. That's why teachers like Dr. Harkins are so important. In his laid-back, self-deprecating style, Dr. Harkins often described himself as a classic underachiever or slacker, going back to his days in the Navy. But that's not what I've observed. Quite the contrary. Whether though his diligent pursuit of Memphis history or his long hours spent in the archives organizing MUS history, Dr. Harkins has always gone above and beyond. I can count on one hand the number of people who have made as significant a contribution to my own life as he has. I want to thank Dr. Harkins for all that he's done for me, and I'm grateful to MUS for providing this opportunity to honor him today. Dr. Harkins, congratulations.
I know now another reason why anybody speaking hates to follow Ellis. Not only does he do this sort of thing brilliantly, but he covers all the basics. I would take issue with him on one thing. The archives, when I first got here, was in a filing cabinet in Bill Hatchett's room. And we have got a truly marvelous institutional archives here. It has been added to over the years. We've had people with absolutely no connection with Memphis University schools show up and give us copies of yearbooks from the original MUS and copies of the topics, the student newspaper, that sort of thing. I got and had the privilege of going through everything in the archives room upstairs when I was working on the Century book. Went through every book, every page of every book of what's there, and I am really appreciative of what a splendid job this school has done in holding on to its documentary past, its corporate memory, if you will. And I feel privileged to be associated with that. And I'm utterly taken aback by the turnout today. Thank you so very much for coming.
John, we're privileged by our association with you and with Georgia. And we are now dismissed. There's a reception here. Stay for a few minutes. Give Dr. Harkins your congratulations. Thank you for being here.